Good morning, how are you?
I'm good.
What are you doing?
Well, I'm meeting with the client that didn't make it.
The
because
one
of
that
whole-
ditched you the other day?
Yes, finally. So she's running a little bit late, so I'm like, okay, I'll jump in here.
No problem.
She'll be in like by 11:30. That's room. Living.
See if Joseph wants to get in.
I am fantastic, how are you? Good. Morning, Frank. Morning, sir, how are you today? Good. Thanks. I think we can.
We have 2 minutes. Sean's on.
Sean's on.
What's up, Frankie?
Man, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good. You never know sometimes. All right, people, before we do this, we have a Super Bowl, like $5 a square. It's going to a charity, which is not me, I'm not the charity, don't be thinking that. But it's $5 a square, we got a bunch of squares left, so if you wanna Venmo me, at Frank Bernardo, or Zell me at my phone number, which is 818-263-7265. We will pick a random square for you. We will maybe make you some money during the Super Bowl. So, but if you don't Venmo me or let me know you're participating, I will call each and every one of you myself. So Sandy, get me everybody's name that's on here, because I'm calling them. And the squares are $10 for you, Sean, not $5. So,
Okay, thanks.
all right, let's get the party started.
Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to Philosopher's Notes TV. Today, another great book, The 10X Rule. The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. Subtitle, The Only Difference Between Success and Failure. Grant Cardone is fantastically intense, and this book is all about 10Xing your vision of what's possible in your life, and very importantly, 10Xing the actions you're going to take in order to bring that vision to life. The 10X Rule. It's fantastic. Philosopher's Note, bunch of my favorite big ideas. Let's look at a handful of my favorite now. Start with the first one, action. The 4 degrees of action. Grant tells us there are 4 ways we can approach life. We can do nothing, basically just kind of hang out. We can retreat and actively avoid doing things that need to get done. We can take normal levels of action, which is what most people do, just enough to live a reasonably comfortable life, right? Or the 4th degree of action, you can take massive action. Massive action. I'm going to write that down. I don't know how many times Grant used this phrase in the book, but suffice to say it was a lot. Disciplined, consistent, persistent, massive action, followed by more disciplined, consistent, persistent, massive action, followed by more disciplined, consistent, persistent, massive action. That's the essence of this book, the action side of it anyway. So quick inventory, where do you show up? Are you doing nothing? Are you kind of retreating from life? Are you doing just enough to get by normal activity levels, right? Or just enough to get a little bit better? Or are you taking massive action? If you want to create extraordinary things in your life, you need to take massive action. Not particularly complicated. That's our 4 degrees of action. We want to 10x by taking massive. Second one is goals. Grant tells us, how often do you write down your goals? He asks, how often do you write down your goals? For most people, if they write them down at all, it's once a year. New Year's resolutions, I'm going to write down my goals. Grant says anything that's important in your life, you need to ask the goal more than once a year. He says you need to ask daily, what's important to me? Write down your goals daily and stretch yourself. Go beyond what you think you can currently do and push yourself. Those are the goals you're going to want to come back to on a day in and day out basis that really fire you up. And he asks a great question. He says, are your goals, when you do your inventory of your goals, right? In the note, I've got a space for you to write down. Okay, these are my goals, right? This is what I'm excited about in my life. And he says, okay, are your goals equal to your potential? Are your goals equal to your potential? That's a really, really, really powerful question. Are your goals equal to your potential? If that doesn't increase your pulse rate a little bit when you think about, wow, what am I really capable of? What can I do? What can I achieve? That's how we want to operate in our lives, right? And find the baby steps and the massive action that helps us connect from that big, big vision to where we are today and enjoying the process and all that good stuff. But keep that in mind. Reflect on your goals, stretch yourself, do your goals match your potential? Third big idea here, obsession. Obsession, being super focused on something. Do you think that that is a disease? Is that a disease or is it a gift? Important distinction. How do you view obsession? Do you view it as a disease? Something's wrong with that guy. He's obsessed about whatever, optimizing his life or building a business he's proud of or having a family that really resonates and helps him serve and actualize? Do you see obsession as a disease or as a gift? Are you willing to turn up the energy in your life and move out of the first 3 degrees of action here and be abnormal? Most people, to be normal is to do what most people do. To be abnormal is to say, look, I'm going to go all in on this. And it's not just Grant Cardone and his intensity who tells us we need to be willing to go all in and be willing to obsess on things. Joseph Campbell, the mythology guru who talks about the hero's journey, in one of his books, The Joseph Campbell Companion, he quotes Ramakrishna, who says, do not approach enlightenment unless you approach it like a man whose hair is on fire seeks a pond. Well, if your hair is on fire, how are you approaching a pond? With some intensity, with some obsession to get from where you are to that point. You're going to do whatever it takes to get to the pond, to put out the fire on your head. We need to approach life with the same level of intensity. We want to ground it in our fundamentals so we're sustainable, but we need to have that intensity. In the note, I talk about another idea. We talk a lot about activation energy. The difference between 400 degrees and 451 degrees Fahrenheit. You probably know that at 451 degrees, you can create fire. Paper will catch on fire. A guy named Michael Larden, who wrote a book about being in the zone, one of the world's leading sports psychologists, peak performance experts, he says the difference between good and great is tiny. It's tiny. But that 1 degree between 450 degrees and 451, nothing happens at 450 degrees. You can be freezing, lost in the forest, and if you rub sticks hard enough together to try to catch fire, to set paper on fire, and you get it all the way up to 450 degrees, that won't do the trick. You've got to be willing to get it all the way up to 451. And that requires a focus, one could say an obsession on the results that you're passionate about. Obsession, is it a disease or is it a gift? 10Xers see this as a gift. Cardone makes the great point too. The only people who criticize him for how hard he works are people who haven't achieved his level of success. They criticize him because they're operating from one of these lower degrees. People who have achieved more success than him never criticize the amount of effort he puts in because they know what it takes. It's a very powerful distinction. Fourth big idea, this is another good one. It's packed with big ideas, this book is, Yoda speak, starve fear. You need to starve fear. Guess what fear's favorite food is? Fear's favorite food, what is it? Grant tells us it's time. If you have something that you need to do, you need to make a phone call to someone. And just the thought of making the phone call creates a level of anxiety within you, apprehension. And then rather than pick up the phone and dial the numbers and call them, you go get a cup of coffee and you think about it and you're like, okay, let me prepare. Let me see what I need to do here to make sure that call goes well. But you're really just imagining all the things that can go wrong and avoiding what needs to get done. And in the process, you're feeding your fear. You're making it bigger and bigger and bigger. Grant tells us we need to starve fear. Cut the time out of the equation. You're just avoiding doing what needs to get done. What if you could reverse that whole process and rather than go out and distract yourself and waste a ton of time and create anxiety in your life unnecessarily, you just did it. You just took the action. And he says anytime we find ourselves wanting to run away from something, and we're feeling fear, condition ourselves to go right at it. It's what the tools guys talk about that I talk about all the time. You need to reverse your desire. We have this relationship to fear where we say, oh, I want to go away from it. But our potential exists on the other side of fear. Outside of our comfort zone is where our potential is. So fear can become a signal for our potential. We need to run right at it rather than run away from it. So starve fear by removing time from the equation. Huge idea. And then the fifth one is another great idea, smoky. So Grant tells us about the fable, the tortoise and the hare. Tortoise and the hare, right? So the tortoise wins the race, and the fable's message is that slow and steady wins the race, right? The hare, the rabbit, runs ahead, goes nuts, super intense, and then he kind of burns himself out. Whereas the tortoise started slow, but just kind of plods along, and eventually he wins. He says, okay, well, whatever. But there's a third alternative. What if you could create this creature that can both start strong and sustain itself over the long run? He says, if that creature existed, it would smoke both of those other two competitors, and the fable would not be called The Tortoise and the Hare, it would be called Smoked. So good. So let's say the creature's name is Smokey. The creature that has both the speed of the hare and the diligence and the persistence of the tortoise, that's what we want to be. And the way to do that, to create the engine where you can be both intense, sustainably, is our fundamentals. Very simple. Your exercise, your nutrition, your rest. Are you honoring those? Your digital sunsets, getting aligned with the circadian rhythms. You're not the hare that gets excited about an idea and then stays up 2 nights straight and then crashes. You're the individual who says, look, I'm fired up about this idea. I've done that in the past. I want to be smoky. I want to be intense, but I also want to be thinking long term so I can consistently show up with this level of intensity. You turn off your electronics when the sun goes down or whenever. You get a good night of sleep. You leave a little bit in the tank for the next day and you show up and you have another great day. That's the basic idea of how we can integrate speed and intensity with long-term endurance. Think smoky, smoking, the tortoise and the hare. Starve your fear, take action, do what needs to get done. Reverse your desire, move straight at that which freaks you out. Be obsessed about what's important to you. Be obsessed about having a great relationship with your spouse and with your kids and with your colleagues and creating a life you're proud of as you set goals that are equal to your potential. Are the goals you're setting for yourself in every domain of your life equal to your potential? That's a really, really, really powerful question. And remember our 4 degrees of action. Don't stand still and do nothing. Don't retreat and don't take normal action. Take massive action, all caps, exclamation point. And in the process, 10x. There you go. What was the idea that jumped out at you? Think about that. Think about how you can apply it to your life. This isn't about theory. This is about taking ideas and actually living them consistently day in and day out. I hope you enjoyed. I look forward to sharing more soon. And if you haven't checked out the membership program yet, get on it. If you like these videos, I do a ton more.
All right. All right. Has anybody read the 10X rule? No? I know Sean has. I don't know if you haven't read the 10X rule. Are you serious? Wow.
I bought it and I started it, but I never finished it.
Oh, did you buy the actual book or did you get the audio book?
I got both because I like having both.
Read the audio book. The audio book is like 10 times better than the regular book because Grant reads it and he is hilarious. He says things that are not appropriate, that are I don't even feel like I could say in this meeting here, but I'll tell you off of camera where I'm not being recorded. But he says things that they're very inappropriate. They're appropriately inappropriate. Let me just say that. But it's an amazing book. It's one of my top 10 books of all time. But the things that resonated with me with this book, because I read it, I think 3 times, but it hasn't been for a while. So the action part where he says you can do nothing, you can avoid, you can be normal, or you can take massive action. That reminded me of something that I learned a long time ago too, where, look at your life. Like, are you in the game or are you a spectator in the game? So if you looked at life as if it were a basketball game, so you get the choice of being a spectator and watching all the players in the game, or you can be Kobe Bryant. Would you rather be Kobe Bryant in a game, or would you want to be a spectator watching Kobe Bryant? So these are all choices that you get to make. And so that made me really think about that, because the massive action would be you're in the game and you are Kobe Bryant. You're doing everything you can to be Kobe Bryant. Normal is you are just going along in life, letting life happen to you. And I like to believe that life doesn't happen to you, it happens because of you, because everything you're at and everything you're doing is based on the choices you've made, whether it's good or bad. If you were in a position, in a spot, and something negative happening to you, you made a choice at some point to get yourself there. So that's what I think normal is. And then avoidance resonated with something I heard not too long ago about procrastination. And he even said it in there about anxiety. So procrastination is one of three things. It's anxiety, rebelliousness, or boredom. I resonate with the rebelliousness part because I don't like being told what to do. And if you tell me to do something, my first inclination is to not do it because I want to do things on my own terms when I want to do things. And my wife would probably attest to this. She'll ask me to do something and I will not do it right away. I will do it when I am ready to do it. And I will tell you that backfires on me more often than not. But and then there's people that are bored, so the anxiety part is the fear part. Like you don't want to make phone calls, so you're gonna go off and try to figure out and avoid and do something different than make the phone calls that you need to make. Discipline, consistent, and massive action. I like this part because this to me speaks real estate all day long. Is like the discipline part, it's really hard to be disciplined and do the things you need to do every day. But it's the showing up and then the consistency of your behavior and showing up. And when I talk to agents, I always explain to them, this is how it works. If I hired you to be the barista at my coffee shop, and for both of us to make money in this business, you had to show up and make coffee. And I'm gonna pay you to do that, and you have to be here 9 to 5. If you showed up Monday 9 to 5 and you crushed it, you did an amazing job at making coffee, and I thought you were the best barista ever. And then on Tuesday you didn't show up, and then on Wednesday you didn't show up, and then Thursday you tried to work half a day, and then you tried to come to work on Friday. Most likely you would not have a job. And the problem is that most real estate agents treat their business like that. They show up when they want to, how they want to, and there's a myth around showing up. The myth is you have to show up and give 100% every day. And that is absolutely 100% not true. And I love this analogy because it equates directly to me, is that I work out 7 days a week. And that is a lie because this last week I missed 2 days. And so now that means I have to make it up, which means I have to go to the gym and work out harder. But I work out between 5 and 7 days a week. I try to. And Monday is leg day, and I effing hate leg day, like hate it so much, so much. And anybody who loves leg day, you're not lifting enough weight. I'm just saying. So when I show up for leg day, I never, ever, ever, ever give 100%. I mean, honestly, it's like 20%, 25% maybe till I get it over with, but I know I have to do it, so I do it. And I move on because the next day is like chest day. I like chest day a lot better, so I give a lot more effort. But it's very rare that I give 100%. It's more of the consistency of the behavior of me showing up that's going to get me the result that I want, not me showing up 2 to 3 times a day trying to give 100%. And so that's the discipline. If you can do something enough times, it will just become normal. And if you say, well, I'm not a disciplined individual, I would challenge you because there are things you wake up and do every day. Like to me, I wake up, I shower every day, if not twice a day. Like guaranteed, happens all the time. You know, you brush your teeth. Like we can figure out things that you do every day that you are 100% disciplined in. And a lot of times it's because it's been ingrained into you because you've done it for so long. It's just like you can't imagine waking up and not brushing your teeth, right? That would be weird. Or not taking a shower, that would be weird. So discipline is the same thing, and then the consistency is key. If I could take every real estate agent and make them more consistent, there would be way more sales in the real estate industry. And then you have to take what you're doing and are you going to do massive action? Like if I say, I think I talked about Sean and I got into a great debate on the 4 quadrants of ways you can get business. And I said, you got to call 100 people call 100 people you don't know, make 100 posts. Like that's super challenging, but that is what I would consider massive action. So like if you sat down and you're like, I normally call 5 to 10 people every day, today I'm going to do 100. If you did that as consistently as you possibly could every day, would you get business? You probably get business. You probably trip over something if you did that enough. I like what he said about the goals and your potential. And he's talking about how much you write down your goals. So like when I found out about all this thing, when I read the 10X book, he had, this is the Grant Cardone 10X planner. It's a very cool thing. And I said before, I write down my goals in the morning and then I write down my goals at night. And then I have a whole bunch of little tasks and stuff in here. And I'm just finishing out this book because this is from this last year. And, you know, you can look at other days, you know, see that I really do it every day. Just randomly picking pages here. There you go, every day. So I write down my goals twice a day because to me, my goals are super important to me and they're super important to my family and I try to do everything I possibly can. So are you writing down your goals? What are your goals? Are your goals something, do you have a someday goal, like the big, audacious, crazy goal that you want to achieve? So mine are big, audacious goals. They're yearly goals, they're daily goals, like getting up and going to the gym. That's my consistent goal every day, that I want to go to the gym because I know that one thing is going to enhance every other aspect of my life. It's going to help me better in my job, help me better for my family, help me better for, you know, my friends. It's going to help me better in every aspect. So that's my daily goal that I try to hit. And then I have my business goals that are big, crazy, audacious, and I write them down every day because I want to focus my mind on exactly what I'm doing every single day. Obsession or balance. So the obsession part I think is very interesting because obsession can be equated, like they said, is it a disease? And he mentioned exercise, nutrition, and rest. So the one thing is interesting because they talk about balance in that book, which was one of the first videos we did in this class, is that balance is not real. You'll never be balanced. You're always going to be balancing. And your balancing will be based on where you at in your life. And, you know, as people get older and they achieve their goals, their balance goes more to family and less to work. And until you get to that, a lot of people have more work balance than they do family life balance. And it's always shifting. And if you're doing it right, it will always be shifting. Because there's times your family's going to have to take precedence. There's time when your work is going to have to take precedence. So it's never going to be a 50-50 balance. So like somebody, I want a work-life balance. That's just not something that happens. The nothing part, this is huge right now. The nothing part is super huge because most real estate agents right now are doing nothing. And that's just a statistical fact because 49% of all agents have sold 0 to 1 home in the last 12 months. That's an insane statistic. And that is because they're doing nothing and they're avoiding things. I think that if you're just being normal and you're going through life and you're talking to the people you normally talk to and they all know you do real estate, you're going to do more than one deal. But massive action is what we talked about with 100 people in a day. But right now you have a lot of people getting into real estate and they're avoiding and they're doing nothing, which is equating to the lackluster of sales that's happening out there. There's people out there right now that are amazing salespeople that are doing a lot of things and they're not getting any business because the business isn't there yet. And it's a progressive thing that you have to be patient with. But what did you guys think of the video?
Very informative, knowledgeable, loved it.
You liked it?
Yes,
Would you go read the book?
I will definitely. Yeah,
Awesome.
I will that. Probably I'm gonna get the audio.
The audio is really great. There's a book, I think it's chapter 12. And he said to, see, I'm gonna say what I wasn't gonna say before, now I'm gonna get in trouble. But chapter 12, he's just like, he goes like, I went to my publisher and I told my publisher, I wanted to call this chapter, Don't Be a Little Bitch. And the publisher told me I couldn't do it. He goes, but I just snuck it in. It's really kind of funny. I don't want to get in trouble for that. That's just what, I'm just reiterating what he said. But it's a really, really good book. It actually changed my mindset in a lot of things. He talks about how, you know, your success is in direct proportion to how many uncomfortable conversations you have every day. So it's like not super comfortable to call everybody you know because there's a portion of everybody you know that you probably haven't talked to in a while. And so if you can have more of those uncomfortable conversations, you're probably going to get more businesses based on what his reality is. Zoom, everybody on Zoom, anybody have a thought or a feeling or a consensus on what we just listened to? Anybody?
I'm definitely gonna reread the book, start reading the book again after the Cliff Note version. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there that he didn't cover that is just, I swear, it's probably number 7 in my top 10 books of all time. I'm getting a lot of books that I like, and I'm reading one right now that is really, really good. It's Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, and that's gonna have to squeeze into the top 10 at some point, but it's I like all of Grant Cardone's books, but this is by far the number 1 that I like. Any good takeaways that you guys got from it? Jonathan, anything?
I mean, when you said life is all about balancing,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm always trying to be balanced. That's very informative.
yeah,
That's what I really touched me.
yeah.
Because I'm always trying to balance myself,
Mhm.
to be focused, not let the negativity hurt me.
Yeah.
Always be positive.
Yeah, so there's a book that I have, it's called Goals by Brian Tracy, that it's one of my first few books I read when I first got into real estate. One of his things that I thought was really, really cool is this is how you can determine where you're at when you're balancing yourself, is he says, write down, I think it's your top 10 goals. Write down your top 10 goals today. And then tomorrow, write them down again without looking at them from yesterday. And what'll happen is that you'll realize you can't remember everything you wrote down from yesterday. And then what's really important to you will start to surface. And it's not like a thing that just happens right away. Like, it takes time to figure out what's really important to me. Is this really my goal? If it's really your goal, you're going to remember it, right? So like your income goal for this year, right? That's something you're probably going to remember. And then you just, and what I found is it's really hard to find 10 goals. It's not easy. And so what happens is it figures out where are you at balancing wise, because are your goals more business focused? Are they more personal focused? Where are your goals focused at? And they'll slowly change over time. You know, there was a time where, you know, the story where like Tracy had a brain tumor, and you know, she was in the hospital, and for like months, there was nothing more important than that. So like the balance went from one side, swing over to the other side, to where I could care less about business. Sorry, don't care about business, don't care about, because that's way more important. And then it slowly swayed back as things started to improve. And so things like that in your life will happen. Like you'll have crazy things in business happen where it sways to that direction. But balancing is, it's something that if you fight for to have an equal balance, you're gonna sabotage both sides. That's what'll happen. And when you track your goals, the one thing that I think is important when you track your goals, you have to have your spouse, like, and your partner or your family, like, in on what your goals are. So in Bold, which is one of the training classes that Keller Williams has, they do something that I think is really cool, is that they have like this agreement in Bold that they make you go home and sign with your spouse or your family. Like they present it to your family, tell your family what's going on or whatever, and they get them to sign it. So like everybody's on board. So like there's no miscommunication on how much effort and work you're going to be putting in, because you agreed. We talked about it and you agreed to. And like Tracy and I, we talk every day, like constantly every day, about business, about personal, about everything. So communication is the key, which is something that should resonate with you and your clients, because you should be constantly talking.
I think Christian Allen has a question.
Christian, what do you got?
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is you have to make yourself uncomfortable, and as counterintuitive as that may be, you know, talking about balance and trying to fight for that. I see that you just have to be more uncomfortable to be comfortable, if that makes sense. To get to the place that you want to be at, the Grant Cardone level of income and the ability to be able to do what you want from a day-to-day point of view, you gotta be in those uncomfortable places to get to a comfortable place. I feel like I keep saying the same thing over and over, but in my head it makes sense.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, you're a boxer, right?
Yes.
Like if you got into a ring with somebody and you were never punched in the face, like how well would that go?
Probably not well. Probably
Right.
not well at all.
And I mean, if you're sparring and you're practicing before your fight or your championship match, if the person you're sparring with is hitting you harder than the person that you're gonna go up against, what are the chances you're gonna win?
Oh, it increases drastically. Like I'm in
Yeah,
camp right now. We're going to Mexico City on the 19th. Um, and the guy that I've been sparring with is, I think, 10 times better than the guy I'm fighting. Obviously, I've never fought the guy that I'm fighting, but I think that who I've been preparing with is 10 times better than who I'm going to end up fighting, and it's going to be an easy fight come, February 23rd.
February 23rd, you gonna promote it? You gonna sell some tickets really quick? No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Uh,
no, no, no.
But I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just like when you talk about NFL teams, I started watching, my son got my wife to watch NFL Hard Knocks with her. And it was the Miami Dolphins, which I thought was really funny. And so I started watching it too. And the one thing, and I knew this beforehand, but it was really cool to watch it in the show, is that NFL teams strive on practicing harder than the game is. And if they practice harder than what the game is, then the game is not going to be as tough, and that's how you win. So you have to actually, and that's all about making yourself uncomfortable. And if you're not making yourself uncomfortable, like your results are going to show for it. So I think that's, and I like the Mike Tyson quote, is like, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's like, so what, just go get punched in the face first, and you can like not have to worry about it when it happens.
I think real estate prospecting that's a great analogy, getting punched in the face, because you make, like yesterday, 21 calls and only 3 people pick up, and the ones that picked up, none of them have any money, or they're not ready to buy, but you got to keep going and keep taking those hits, because eventually you're going to get that right cross and you're going to take the guy down. And that's when you put something in escrow, or you get somebody that
Yeah.
says, yeah, I'm ready to go look at homes this weekend.
Yeah. So this would be something I'd ask for you guys to try. This is how I started prospecting before I became a team leader, and it worked out really well for me. And what I did is that instead of trying to make as many phone calls as I could, contact as many people as I could, what I tried to do is I went after what I did is like, this is my center of my sphere. And then as you go out of your sphere, the connections become weaker, right? So these are like out here, these are strangers, right? Those are strangers out here, and these are like family and friends right here. And then you start spiraling out. So what I did is that my goal was 20 people a day that I would call, but I wouldn't just try to burn through the 20 people. What I would do is I would call the lowest hanging fruit first. And if I called them, they didn't answer this. So this is the exact process. I would call them. If it went to voicemail, I would hang up and I would wait. And then I'd call back in a minute, because I don't know what they're doing. Like, they could be on the phone, they could be talking to somebody else, whatever. I would call them back. If I got a voicemail, then I would leave them a voicemail. Say, hey, this is Frank, just calling, check up on you, see how you're doing, give me a call back when you get a chance. Click, hang up on them. Then I would text them. Hey, it's Frank, I just tried to give you a call, give me a call when you get a chance. Then I would go on social media, figure out what are they doing in social media. Maybe they're out of town. Maybe they're doing something else. I would look, okay, they haven't been active on Facebook in a couple of months. Are they active on any other platform? Are they active on LinkedIn? Are they active on Twitter? Are they active on anything else? And I would try to be a sniper in talking to my closest people to figure out where are they at and what are they doing. Now, by doing that, what I learned is that I get way more information than I would have ever had just trying to call them and hang up. So like I found out, oh, they went to Costa Rica and they've been in Costa Rica for a month. That's why they're not calling me back. Or they just had a kid's birthday, or something just happened. So now when they do call me back, I actually have a lot more to talk to them about, because I just found all this information about them. And then the last thing I do is I drop something in the mail. And then I go on to the next one. It's not super fast. It's not super quick. It is probably the antithesis of what everybody tells you to do in real estate. But what it does is, like, let's say you do all these things. You find them on social media, you like and you comment on a few things, you like and comment on a few things on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, and then you drop something in the mail. If they don't respond to you, the least you have done is you've built that relationship up a little bit more, because they absolutely got your voicemail, they absolutely got your text message. There's a chance they probably saw the Facebook thing, maybe, maybe not. You sent them a Facebook message, they probably got that, and they're probably going to get the thing you sent in the mail. And one of our creeds up there, our belief system is communication, seek first to understand. So if you try to contact somebody and they're not responding to you, don't make a judgment call on why that's happening. 'Cause you don't know. You really don't know. And we, as people, not just realtors, but as people, we like to make judgment calls all the time. Like, oh, that's rude that they didn't call me back. Maybe, but you really don't know. You really don't know why they're not communicating back with you. Like, there was one, I don't remember who it was. Somebody just wasn't calling me back and I found out that somebody died. You're good. You do not call me back. I am the least of your worries if you had somebody pass away in your life. Like, so the thing is that if we start going through all these reasons of why we think that they're not calling us back, then we're actually just chasing our own tail. So don't make a judgment call. And guess what? That person may come back a little bit later and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I didn't contact you or blah, blah, blah. They just get put back into the list and then you just keep.
You're feeding fear too.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And you have to, and I don't know where I heard this from, but they were saying the most successful people in the world do have less emotion in everything that they do. Your emotion is what messes up most people. I totally see that because I can be super emotional. Like I can get upset, I can get sad. When I was younger, more so than today, I let my emotion run me. And I see a lot of, if you look at super successful people, their emotion is like very medium. They're very just straight across the board. They don't get super uppity or super anything. They're just all middle of the line. So you don't know what's happening with people. But if you take the sniper version of this and you go after people and you try to connect with people, because if you can connect with people on a deeper level than where you're at now, the business will absolutely come. And if you're trying to connect with 100 people on a surface level, then, it's a volume conversation. So you need less volume if you have deeper relationships with people. Like your best friend will use you because you have a deep relationship with that person. Your family most likely will use you. My family didn't use me because it was my in-laws. They didn't like me. Whatever. That's a different meaning. But like my personal family, like my mom and like they would use me because that's a deep relationship. So the deep relationships are what you have to try and grow with everybody else in your life that you don't have that with. Like that person that you could call that lives out of state that you haven't talked to in 5 years. Like you're afraid to call them because it's been 5 years. But guess what? They didn't reach out either. So if you reach out, you're actually the bigger person that makes you look better. And then you take accountability. Hey, I'm really, really sorry. So I'll tell you, I reached out to somebody on Facebook and I was just like, hey, it's Frank. We haven't talked in years. I just really I'm really sorry for that. I took accountability and now I got their contact information because Tracy and I are building up our database. And so like, I'm literally scouring everybody that I know, every transaction I've ever done. I'm trying to find people. I just followed up. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm creating a database to where I send out birthday cards and holiday cards to everybody. I would love to put you in that list. And you know what they said? Of course, here it is. That easy. Of course, here it is. But then I didn't get the birthday. Now I have to go back and ask for the birthday. She's like, you get the birthday? I'm like, oh, yeah. So I have to go back and ask for the birthday. But now it's a super easy conversation. I'm like, hey, I also want to send you your birthday card. I have your address. I just went your birthday. I didn't get your birthday. And it's a super easy conversation, but it took like 10 seconds for me to just say that. For me to get, now I have email, phone number, and address of somebody. Now I have a super strong contact. Now it's going to go into the database that Tracy put together and the drip campaign that we have, and they're going to get like holiday things, they're going to get birthdays, they're going to get all this stuff from me that's going to increase that relationship. But it's all in like having nobody in your database to 10 timesing it. And 10 timing it is you put 500 people in your database, you follow up with them on a monthly basis, you talk to them, you send them things, like you just go all out. And if you get 10% back from your database, you guys are probably going to be making a grip of money. Yes.
I cough, sorry.
Oh, all right. Anything else? What do you guys think? Thoughts? Did I get everything on the board here? I think I did. Oh, the set on fire part. I heard this somewhere else before. And I always talk about like, what are you willing to do? Like, where are you at in your business and what are you willing to do? And this person said, if I set you on fire, what would you be willing to do to put yourself out? Anything. You'd be willing to do anything. Is your business on fire right now? And what do you have to do to put it out? Or is your life on fire to where you have to go make more money? What are you willing to do to put it out? And so if you start thinking of things that way, how far are you, we're in February, we're coming to the middle of February. We're almost like 10% done with the year, which is a really freaky thing to think about. And where are you at on your goals? And are your goals on fire? And what do you got to do to put them out? What are you willing to do? So think about that. All right, anything else for the good of the order before we play the last video?
Way more than what you see here.
That is not the last video. All right, let's play the last video. Keep going. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Thank you for doing this, Frank.
Absolutely.
The world does not reward mediocrity. You know what the rest of the world wants to pay you for? Be the best at one thing.
If you know how to concentrate your efforts and be focused on one thing, you have an edge. If you can be focused on one thing and not look at everything else that everybody else is looking at, 50 different philosophies, 75 different ways to make money, 19 different streams of income. If you can figure out a way to go here, all of that stuff's gonna come your way. But if you go chase all the other stuff like everyone else is, you're gonna miss the whole point of winning in life because you can't concentrate. You show me anyone today who knows how to concentrate, I'll show you someone that nobody wants to compete with.
Don't stop. Narrow your focus to one idea, and make it work. Make it your priority and stick with it no matter what.
You guys need to understand what you don't have to do. You don't have to work hard, you don't have to eat right, you don't have to sleep right, you don't have to do more than what's required of you, you don't have to be a good teammate, you don't have to be a good leader. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. But you also don't have to win, you don't have to be a success in life, you don't have to help your team win, you don't have to play. So the greatest things in life take sacrifice and discipline. And that's why so few people achieve great things. Because they don't want to sacrifice, they don't want to discipline for something greater. So you see all these people that have great things in life that you look up to, it's because they were sacrificed and disciplined long before you ever knew them.
No one can make you do or not do what you said you're gonna do. Tell yourself every morning, I'm gonna stick to this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna strive for this goal. I'm not looking forward to December. I'm not looking over the whole year. I'm focused on today.
What we do every day, every single day, what we do becomes habitual and routine. Through practice, every single day we do the same thing, regardless of weather, surroundings, elements, people, regardless. We continue to do the task that we believe in, headstrong, confident, pushing through it.
See, at the end of my life, the Lord's gonna go, hey, by the way, this guy over here, this is the man you could have been. This is the person you were born to be. This would have been your dreams. This is where you would have gone, what you would have seen, what you would have changed. This would have been your book. Meet him. My dream in my life is that when I meet that person, we're not total strangers. And I'm gonna say, hey man, good to see you. Been chasing you, man. He's gonna go, I've been watching you. You maxed out your damn life. Congratulations. You don't want to get to the end of your life, and that character is a total stranger to you. You know damn well there's gonna be a funeral for you someday. At that funeral, there's gonna be a sense and a spirit of what you could have become. The woman, the man you could have become. And every day those decisions you're making to max out your life are chasing that person.
If you have micro-focus, if you can get a chance to pay attention to detail, that's how you break out of the pack. That's how you go from being average to above average performer. With focus, you are unstoppable.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. See you later.
See you later, man. Thanks, Andy. Let's figure out this microphone situation. I'm on a mission.